Forget dusty textbooks and boring grammar drills.
Mm.
I learned to speak English fluently, like actually fluently sprawled on my couch watching Friends.
Seriously, just friends.
Well, that's where it started. I mean, I went from basically, hello, how are you, to actually dreaming in English, all thanks to, Netflix and a bit of strategic binge watching.
Okay, that's quite the claim. Intriguing.
Right. So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into this surprising idea, using your favorite TV series as, well, a powerful tool for mastering English.
And I think a lot of people listening are probably curious about this, always looking for more engaging ways to learn, right?
Exactly. So stick with us. We're going to unpack why this method works. I'll share a bit about my own journey, give you a practical strategy, lessons from different shows.
And pitfalls, too, I imagine. Common mistakes.
Oh, definitely. Mistakes, helpful tools, useful phrases, all of it. We'll cover the whole process.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is bypassing that sort of conscious effort of traditional learning, tapping into something more immersive.
Yeah, like your brain just soaks it up while you're enjoying a story.
Right. So our goal today isn't just to say, hey, you can learn English with TV, which, yes, you absolutely can, but also to give you a practical roadmap, how you can actually do it.
Exactly. Because, let's be real, another grammar worksheet, it can feel, well, pretty dull.
Uh-huh.
But hitting play on your favorite sitcom, you're laughing, you care about the characters, and almost without realizing it, you're like bathing your brain in real English.
You're hearing the natural rhythm, the pronunciation you don't get from perfectly polished audio lessons.
And the slang,
Yeah.
the everyday expressions, that's the gold. Plus, it's genuinely fun, which makes the learning feel, I don't know, almost like a side effect.
And this lines up perfectly with input-based learning theories. The more language you understand, even if it's just through context at first, the more your brain naturally starts picking up patterns. Grammar, vocab, sentence structure.
Like how kids learn. Right. Not rules first, just exposure.
Precisely. Constant exposure. Plus the motivation to understand what's going on. So if you're sitting there skeptical, wondering if your Netflix time can actually improve your English.
The answer is a big yes. And we're going to show you why, and crucially, how to make it work for you.
Okay, so paint the picture. Where did you start?
Okay, so picture this. My English was literally, hello, maybe a shaky, how are you? That was it.
Wow, okay. Basic.
Very basic. Then came Friends, hooked like everyone else. But watching it, it was like just noise mostly. I couldn't understand much at all.
Right, that initial barrier.
Totally. So subtitles became my best friend, my lifeline, really. I remember watching the same episodes over and over again.
Repetition. Key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First time through, Turkish subtitles, just so I could follow the story, understand who was saying what to whom.
That makes sense. Get the narrative framework first.
Yeah, establish the context. Otherwise, the English is just words floating around.
Right. It gives the language something to stick to.
Exactly. So once I kind of knew what was happening plot-wise, I'd watch the same episode again, but switch to English subtitles.
Okay, so now connecting the sounds to the written words.
Yeah, that was a big step. Linking sounds, spellings, recognizing words I sort of knew but hadn't heard like that. But the real leap, turning off subtitles completely.
Ooh, scare.
Terrifying. My brain was suddenly working overtime, piecing things together from context, expressions, tone of voice, the few words I did recognize.
Using all clues.
All of them. And I started doing this thing, felt a bit weird, but I'd pause after a line, and I'd try to repeat it exactly like the actor said it, mimicking the pronunciation, the rhythm, sitting there on my couch, talking to myself.
That's called shadowing. It's actually a really powerful technique.
Is it? Okay, well, it felt effective. You're not just hearing, you're like training your mouth too.
Exactly. It engages the physical aspect of speaking, helps internalize the melody and intonation. It's training your ear and your mouth.
And slowly, really slowly, it started to click. I began to actually get the jokes, the puns, the sarcasm, stuff that flew right over my head before.
Understanding humor is a huge milestone.
It really is. And the best part, finding myself just using phrases from the show naturally in real conversations. Maybe throwing out a "how you doing?"
Classic Joey.
Right. It wasn't just a line anymore. It was part of my language. Like it had just seeped in from all those hours with the game.
That's the power of repeated exposure in context. Your brain learns not just the meaning, but how and when to use the phrase appropriately, moving beyond definitions to actual use.
Okay, so people listening might be thinking, all right, couch potato English sounds good, but how? What are the steps?
The practical strategy.
Exactly. Let me break down what worked for me. Step 1, and this is crucial, Choose a show you genuinely love. Seriously, non-negotiable.
If you don't enjoy it, you won't stick with it. Simple as that.
Totally. I'd suggest starting with sitcoms. Things like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, everyday conversations, simpler language usually.
Good starting point. Accessible.
Right. Step 2. Watch with subtitles in your own language first. Turkish, in my case. The goal here is just understanding the plot. Don't stress about the English yet.
Get this story straight.
Step 3. Watch it again, same episode, but with English subtitles. Now you start connecting the spoken English to the written form, seeing how those ideas are expressed.
That active comparison, native language versus English, very helpful.
Definitely. Step 4. Keep a vocabulary notebook. Physical, digital, whatever works. Jot down new words, interesting phrases, things you hear often.
Writing it down helps cement it, right? Creates a personal dictionary.
Exactly. And step 5, this is where the real work happens. Repeat key dialogues out loud, that shadowing thing we mentioned.
Pause, repeat, match the actors.
Yeah, pronunciation, intonation, pauses, everything. Feels weird, works wonders, trust me.
Trains the ear and the mouth.
And finally, step 6. Use the language daily, even in small ways. Talk to yourself in English, describe what you're doing, repeat phrases in your head, think in English.
Active application, making it part of your routine.
The more you actively use it, the more it sticks. It becomes yours.
That daily integration is vital.
Yeah.
It's not just input. It's about turning it into output, reinforcing the learning.
Yeah, what's really cool is how different shows teach you different things. Like Friends was my crash course in casual, everyday American English, sarcasm, idioms, the works.
Your foundation.
Yeah. Then I moved on to The Office. Suddenly it was workplace vocabulary, that specific kind of awkward humor, more realistic dialogue in some ways.
Different context, different language.
Totally. Peaky Blinders, whoa. Challenging. British accents, historical slang, but so engaging. It really stretched my ear.
A different flavor of English altogether.
Definitely. Breaking Bad gave me more intense American accents, the language of like negotiation, high stakes.
Emotional range, conflict, vocabulary.
Right. Modern Family was brilliant for hearing different character voices, family stuff, emotional language. Lots of variety there.
Exposure to different speaking styles within one show.
And something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Super fast-paced dialogue, witty banter, plus you pick up police terms, which is interesting.
Fast speech is great practice for comprehension.
Yeah. I actually have specific lines stored in my head from these shows, ones I remember using for the first time in real life. Maybe I'll share one or two later.
Okay. It proves how a mix of shows gives you a broader education. Different registers, accents, vocabulary. It's like having multiple teachers.
For sure. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. I definitely made mistakes. Good to share those, I think.
Absolutely. Learning from missteps is crucial.
Okay, big one. Just passively watching, zoning out, getting lost in the plot, forgetting the learning part. Easy to do.
Yeah, enjoyment versus active engagement. There's a balance.
Another mistake, skipping the hard parts. If dialogue got too fast or slangy, I'd just tune out. But those were often the best learning bits.
Avoiding the challenge limits growth.
Totally. Also, relying on subtitles for too long. They're a great tool, a crutch, but I should have ditched them sooner, pushed myself more.
Overdependence hinders listening skill development.
And finally, not being consistent about reviewing. Learning new words is great, but if you don't revisit them, poof, they disappear.
Repetition for retention. Standard learning principle.
So the lesson is, be active, challenge yourself, ease off the aids gradually, and review, review, review. Balance the watching with the actual work.
Important points. Passive viewing is fun, but active engagement, tackling difficulties, reducing subtitle reliance, and regular review are what make it effective learning.
Thankfully, I found some tools that were like game changers, really help speed things up.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Okay, Language Reactor. It's a browser extension for Netflix, lets you see subtitles in 2 languages at once. Amazing for quickly checking meanings without pausing.
Ah, dual subtitles. Very handy for direct comparison.
Totally. Then Anki. It's a flashcard app. Uses spaced repetition.
Right, shows you the hard cards more often. Super efficient for memorizing.
Exactly. Memorizing vocab became much less of a chore. And for notes, I use Google Keep mostly. Sometimes Notion, just to jot down phrases, keep track.
Digital notebooks, good for organization.
And one more, Youglish. This site is brilliant. You type in a word or phrase, and it finds YouTube videos where native speakers actually use it, shows you the real context.
Oh, that's fantastic for understanding nuances in usage, real-world examples.
Yeah, using these tools really made a difference. They complemented the watching perfectly.
Language Reactor for support, Anki for memory, Youglish for context. Excellent toolkit.
And here's a really key piece of advice. Consistency beats intensity, every time.
Short, regular sessions over long, infrequent ones.
Absolutely. My routine was something like 20 minutes watching the show actively, then maybe 10 minutes repeating scenes, doing the shadowing, and another 10 minutes reviewing vocab from my notes.
About 40 minutes total? Manageable.
Yeah, and I tried to do that maybe 5 or 6 days a week, kept the momentum going.
That structure is great. Sustainable learning, breaking it down, being regular, dedicating time for repetition and review. That's how you build long-term skills.
And you do see results. For me, after maybe 3 months of being consistent, I could follow conversations much better. Real improvement.
Noticeable progress after 3 months.
Okay, around 6 months, I started forming sentences faster, felt more confident actually speaking, less hesitation.
Fluency building?
And then the big one, after about a year, I started dreaming in English.
Wow. That's often seen as a major sign of deep language integration, right? When it enters your subconscious.
Seriously, it felt bizarre, but so cool. Like proof it was actually working on a deep level. I even have old messages, voice notes. You can really hear the change. Maybe I'll attempt an imitation later. We'll see.
Oh, that tangible proof is powerful. Dreaming in the language, having recordings, it validates the whole process.
So for anyone listening who's just starting out, thinking about trying this TV method, here's my advice.
Tips for beginners. Go for it.
First, don't aim for perfection straight away. Just try to get the main idea. Understanding is key at the start.
Lower the pressure. Focus on comprehension.
Second, rewatching episodes is your friend. Seriously valuable. You catch more each time.
Reinforces learning without needing new material constantly.
Third, prioritize understanding over speaking perfectly at first. Get the input down.
Comprehension first, production will follow.
And fourth, think of subtitles like a ladder. Use them to climb up, to help you understand, but the goal is to eventually climb off the ladder and stand on your own.
Great analogy. A temporary tool, not a permanent crutch. Excellent advice.
And just to give you a little flavor, here are a few phrases I definitely picked up just from watching shows. Things like, I'm not buying it.
Meaning, I don't believe you?
Yeah. Or cut it out.
Stop doing that.
You've got to be kidding me.
Expressing disbelief. Very common.
Here's the deal.
Okay, let me explain the situation or proposal.
And let's not go there.
Let's avoid that unpleasant topic.
Yeah.
These are the kind of natural bits you absorb. And there are tons more fantastic examples. Colloquial, idiomatic language. The stuff that makes you sound natural, which is hard to get from textbooks alone.
So yeah, that's basically it. My journey from struggling with hello to dreaming in English, all thanks to the TV. Seriously.
From the couch.
From the couch. So if you, like our listener, are searching for ways to learn English that are actually engaging, maybe even fun, I really hope this deep dive has shown you the potential hiding in your Netflix queue.
Turning downtime into genuinely productive learning time. And enjoyable learning time.
Exactly. It shows learning doesn't have to be this formal, stuffy thing. You can weave it into things you already enjoy.
A personalized, effective language learning system built around entertainment.
Precisely. So maybe think about it now. What shows do you love? Which ones could you use for this? What little phrases have you maybe already picked up without realizing?
Harnessing that power of entertainment. It's a great final thought.
Okay, let's wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive.